Let's start with a simple thought experiment. Two people both have exactly 5k sitting in their bank account today. 5 years from now, one of them still has roughly the same amount. The other has quietly turned that 5k into the foundation of a system that keeps working for them. Same starting point, same amount of money. The difference isn't intelligence, it isn't luck. It's the decision they made about what that money should do, because money can either sit or it can work. And most people never really make that distinction. Right now in the UK, inflation has been running roughly around 3-4% in recent years. At the same time, credit card interest rates often sit well above 20%. Yet millions of people leave their savings doing absolutely nothing. Now, 5k on its own isn't life-changing money, but the way you handle your first few £1,000s can completely shape how your financial life develops. So let's break this down in 3 stages: protection, growth, and leverage. First, protection. Most people treat their savings account as if it's a wealth building tool. It isn't. Savings are designed to protect you, not grow you. And once you understand that difference, financial decisions become much clearer. Even the best easy access savings accounts today might offer somewhere around 4 or 5%. That sounds reasonable until you remember inflation has been running close to that level, which means your money is barely standing still in real terms. That doesn't mean savings are useless. It just means they serve a different purpose. Cash exists to protect you from chaos. Unexpected expenses, car repairs, boiler failures, losing a job. Without a buffer, even a small financial shock can push people into debt. And that's exactly what happens to a large number of households every year. A simple framework works well here. Start with a small emergency fund, maybe 1k to 2k, just enough to cover smaller unexpected costs. Then gradually build towards a larger reserve. Typically 3 to 6 months of essential expenses. If your job is less stable, even more. This money doesn't need to be invested. It just needs to be safe, accessible, and earning at least something. High interest savings accounts, money market funds, or short-term government bonds can all serve that purpose. Once that foundation is in place, your financial decisions become much calmer because you're no longer one bad month away from starting over. Second, remove financial drag. Before thinking about investing, there's one question worth asking honestly. Do you have high interest debt? Because if you're carrying a credit card balance charging 20% interest while trying to invest in the stock market, you're essentially running uphill. Paying off high interest debt is one of the most powerful financial moves you can make. If a credit card charges 20%, eliminating that balance is effectively the same as earning a guaranteed 20% return. No market volatility, no risk. Just an immediate improvement in your financial position. Very few investments can match that. Now, not all debt is the same. A mortgage at a relatively low fixed rate is very different from a credit card balance. The key is comparing the cost of the debt to the potential return from investing. If your debt costs significantly more than your expected investment return, paying it off first usually makes sense. There's also something numbers don't fully capture. Debt creates mental pressure. It affects how people make decisions. It adds stress. Removing that pressure gives you clarity, and clarity tends to accelerate everything that comes next. Third, growth. Once you have a financial buffer and no high interest debt dragging you down, the dynamic changes completely. Now, your money can start working. And the most important concept here is compounding. Compounding simply means your money begins generating returns, and those returns generate their own returns over time. Historically, broad stock markets have delivered average returns somewhere around 7-10% per year before inflation. After inflation, the real return tends to land closer to 5-7%. That difference might not sound huge, but over decades it becomes enormous. If you invested 5k today and earned a 5% real return for 20 years, it would grow to roughly 13k, not life-changing on its own. But now, imagine adding just 100 a month alongside it. Over the same 20 years, you'd end up with roughly 50k or more in real purchasing power. Same starting point, same return. The only difference is consistent contributions. This is why regular investing tends to outperform trying to time the market. A simple approach works well for most beginners. Open a low-cost brokerage account. Invest regularly into diversified funds that track the broader market. Keep costs low, stay consistent, and allow time to do most of the work. Another path, leverage. Markets aren't the only way money can work for you. Some people prefer building small income streams instead. And interestingly, 5k can actually be enough to start something tangible. Equipment rental is one example. Things like event equipment, photography gear, or landscaping tools can be rented repeatedly. The initial investment gets recovered over time while the asset continues generating income. Platforms now exist that make renting equipment easier than ever. Another approach is learning a skill that increases your earning power. In the early stages of wealth building, increasing income can sometimes outperform investing. learning a valuable skill, negotiating a higher salary, starting freelance work. These can increase the amount you're able to invest every month. And that's where the real engine of wealth sits. Not in a single lump sum, but in the ability to invest consistently over time. The real machine behind wealth. People often assume wealth is built through high incomes, but income alone doesn't create wealth, savings rate does. Two people can earn very different salaries and end up with very different outcomes. Someone earning 50k and consistently investing 10% can build more wealth than someone earning 70k, who only invests 5%. Because the real machine isn't income, it's the percentage of income you deploy. Consistency matters more than the starting number. The hidden factor: identity. Behind all of this is something deeper than tactics. The people who build wealth long term don't just change what they do with money. They change how they think about it. They stop seeing money as something to spend and start seeing it as capital to allocate. Every pound becomes a decision. Spend it or put it to work. Over time, that mindset compounds just as much as the investments themselves. The quiet risks. There are also a few things that quietly destroy progress. One is financial scams or too good to be true investments. Guaranteed returns rarely exist. If something promises high returns with no risk, it's almost always a warning sign. Another risk is impatience. Markets will fall sometimes. 20%, even 30%. It happens regularly. But investors who stay disciplined tend to recover. Those who panic sell lock-in losses. Patience is often the difference between long-term success and starting over repeatedly. The bigger picture. The 5k itself isn't the powerful part. What matters is what it represents. Discipline, optionality, the ability to start making intentional financial decisions. The sequence is straightforward. Protect yourself first, remove financial drag, put money to work, increase income, stay consistent. Most people delay starting because they think they need a bigger number. But financial freedom rarely begins with a huge amount of money. It begins the moment money stops being idle and starts being intentional.